Calling.
All in.
Call once or twice.
Call.
I only go once.
I'm overheated, can hardly sleep at night, doing crazy dreaming. You're the reason why, hiding by the baby, losing my mind.
We're in for 500, second hand off the deck on a new game. We pick up Ace King. There was a limp, a raise to 15. I make it 50. It's folded back around to the raiser, and he calls for the $50. So we're going to go heads up to a flop with 107 in the pot. Flop comes out. Jack, 10, 3, 2 spades. So we got 2 overcards, a gut shot, and a backdoor nut flush draw. Player checks to us. We're going to continue for $40. It's good for our range, and we have some outs if we get played back at. He thinks for a bit and lets it go, and we win our first hand. Next hand we get involved in, I have ace-6 suited in the hijack. There was a couple limpers in front of me. I decided to raise to 15. Ended up getting 2 callers for the 15. So we're going to end up going 3 ways to this flop. Well, the flop comes out 993 with 2 spades. No backdoor flush draw for us, but really 993 shouldn't really hit to someone unless they had some sort of flush draw. So when it's checked over to me, I'm going to continue this time for $20. End up getting a call from the player on the other side of the table. He's a fairly new player, so I'm not quite sure what he has here. The other player puts in the fold, so it's just going to be the 2 of us to see this turn card. What can I put him on? He can have just about anything. Turn card comes as a 3 of diamonds, so it does pair the board again. If he has a 9, he has a lock. He checks it over. I'm just going to check this back for some pot control. It's kind of risky giving a free card to a flush draw. What happens to get there when the 5 of spades hits? Not a good card. If he had a flush draw, he now has me beat. He bets for $35. And just the way he does it makes me feel like maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe he's just bluffing with ace high. I think I'm probably going to chop in this pot, so I put in the call. He shows that he had king queen and for king high. So my ace high takes it down. I'm in the small blind with pocket tens. There are 2 late position limpers. My hand is definitely too strong to do anything but raise, so I make it $20. I get the fold from the big blind, and both limpers put in the call. Going to a flop with $63 in it. Flop comes out Jack 8-5 with 2 hearts. There's an overcard to my 10s. I decided to check this because it hits their range pretty hard. Both players check, and we get a turn card of a 7 of clubs. Really good card for my hand. I think I can get a lot of value from straight draws, maybe second pair type of hands like 9-8. Who knows, that maybe they have something like 8-6. I bet 40. I get a call from the first player, and the second player also decides to put in the call. I feel I'm ahead at this time. I feel I just have to dodge a straight draw. Wherever card comes is pretty good. It's a 3 of hearts. It shouldn't change any of the straight draws. If they had 6-4, they still have 6-4. The only thing it really changes is if someone had a flush draw. I really didn't think anyone did, so I felt safe in betting $60 for value here. Player now takes his time, stacks his chips up, and announces a raise to $200. Now, if you played anything in the 1-3 games, you know that people don't raise on the river as a bluff. They usually just always have it. And granted, I'm probably near the bottom of my range for betting for value. This looks like an easy fold. But this player, he watches my vlog, and I think that he knows a little bit more than the average 1-3 player. And I feel like he's making a move on me. I do have the 10 of hearts as a blocker to a flush draw. I think he's just trying to represent a flush. And normally, you fold to these type of raises. But this player, I think he's capable of bluffing. I think he has the right opportunity to bluff. So I gotta look him up. I put in the call. He taps the table saying, "You got me," and he just throws his hand in the muck. Well, so far things are going pretty smoothly today. We're a little over an hour into the session, up $400. We pick up Ace King under the gun, raise to 15. End up getting 3 callers, so we're going to head off to this flop with 4 players in it. So we get to see a flop that comes out ace high with 2 spades, an 8 and a 3. Pretty good flop for my hand. There is a possible flush draw out there. I should be able to get some action from a player with an ace. I make it $25. I get 1 caller from the player on the button. The other players end up folding out, and we get to see a turn card. That is the 8 of diamonds. Pretty good card, actually. I don't think he'd be calling me with second pair. I'm pretty sure he has an ace. I'm a little worried that since I have the ace of clubs, the only ace he can really have is either the ace of diamonds or the ace of spades. If he has the ace of spades, he probably has a flush draw with it. Therefore, I went a little bit larger than I would normally go, just because I think if he has a flush draw, he's not going to be folding. And if he has another ace, say with a small kicker, he probably is not going to be paying me off anyway. After about 30 seconds or so, he decided to let it go, thinking that his ace wasn't strong enough to continue. Maybe I should have made it smaller, but I don't mind betting bigger when I think he has a flush draw. Well, the game is starting to get a little bit deeper, and I have a strong player who just sat down to my right. There was a limp. He raises to $20. I look down at 2 aces. Make it $65. Player to my left now stops and pauses for a moment before making it $165. He has about $325 in his stack, putting in over half his chips. I imagine that he has a very strong hand. Hopefully he has something like ace king or pocket kings, maybe pocket queens. Anyway, the player to my right ends up folding. I end up jamming. He snap calls and asks if I want to run it twice. I tell him I only run it once. He asked me if I had aces. I told him yeah. He goes, well, I got kings. We see a flop that comes jack high with 2 spades. Turn card puts up a 3 of hearts. River, king of hearts. We got our aces cracked. People often ask me why I only run it once, and I only run it once all the time. This is why. If you're playing in a game where you have to reduce your variance by running it twice, then you're probably playing too big for your bankroll. If you have a big enough bankroll for the game you're playing, variance is your friend, and you want the other person to worry about, am I playing over my bankroll? Should I really risk going busted on this particular hand? If you have a big bankroll, you don't worry about that stuff. So if you find yourself wanting to run it twice all the time, I imagine it's because you're afraid of variance, and that's because your bankroll is too small. There's a $6 straddle. I look down at ace, 10 of clubs from the +1 position. Definitely good enough to put in a raise. I make it $25. Only the player in the big blind puts in the call, and we're going to go heads up to a flop with $57 in the center. Flop comes out queen high with 2 clubs. So we got an overcard, the nut flush draw. My opponent checks. I'm going to continue here for $25. Seems like a good idea at the time. My opponent, on the other hand, decides he does not want to play for $25, and he wants to play for all his chips. So he shoves all in. I kind of get a rough estimate of the count. It looked like about $160. The dealer asked if I needed a count, and I go, probably not. I'll just call. I got plenty of equity against a queen at this point. I feel like if I catch an ace, I'm good. I have some backdoor straight draws. Turn cards is 7 of spades. River is the 8 of clubs. He turned over pocket 4s for a flop set, and I ended up sucking out. Well, crazy hands seem to be the theme. Here we have a $10 open. Several people put in the call for the $10. The good player on the button squeezes to $70. I look down at 2 jacks from the small blind. This either is a fold or a 4-bet. Yes, I 4-bet to $215, hoping that I'm not facing something like aces, kings, or queens from the player on the button who has me covered. First 2 players fold. The short stack goes all in for his remaining chips. That's fine with me. It does make it more callable for someone who's looking for the proper pot odds if he has a good hand. The button player was very disciplined in laying down his hand, and we're going to go heads up against the caller. And he turns over pocket aces. What the heck? Didn't expect that. Maybe we can outrun aces. One time, river. Nope, we miss. He wins. There's a $6 straddle. I look down at ace 10 suited from the +1 position, open for $20. It's folded back around to the player on the small blind. He has a short stack of about $220, and he decides to go for a raise, and it's to $80. He's a very tight player. I think he has a very strong hand. If he was deeper, I would call and try to outplay him or make a hand with my ace 10 suited. But him being a short stack, he's going to be shoving on the flop, and I don't think I'm getting the right price. So even though it's a good hand, I have to let it go. I'm in the cutoff with ace king offsuit. There's a raise to 20, a call of the 20. I make it 80. It's folded back around to the initial raiser. He puts in the fold, and the second player is the one I've kind of been holding over with today, and he's kind of, not too happy to continue, but he does put out $60 more. So we're going to go see a flop. At this point, I'm putting on a pretty good hand to call the raise, but as I said, he's a little gun shy. Flop comes out 10-9-6 with 2 hearts. Not a good flop for ace king, especially I don't hold a heart anywhere in my hand. This is normally just a check back and see what happens on the turn. But because he's a little gun shy, and I think he's like a little intimidated by the way he's been running against me, I decided to put him to the ultimate test by jamming. This is definitely not the correct move to do. He thinks about it for a while and says, just send me home, and he makes the call. So I feel I'm beat here, need a little help. I do not get any help. I tell him I have ace high, and he shows pocket jacks. Punt. This is the very next hand. I'm a little bit upset with myself for that last play. I pick up 5-4 suited in the hijack. Player opens for 20. I decided to call with 5-4 suited, kind of rough. Big blind puts in the call, so we go 3 ways to a flop. That comes out Jack 9-8 with 2 diamonds. So I have a flush draw, but other than that, I don't have any real back doors. It's checked to the initial raiser. He puts out a bet for $50. Pretty good sized bet. Not giving me a very good price to draw with to my flush, and he doesn't have a very big stack. But if I'm going to be calling $20 pre-flop and flop a flush draw, I can't be folding when I hit it. So I put in the $50. The other player ends up folding. So now we're going to be heads up to the turn, which comes king of diamonds. So I make my flush. My opponent now jams all in for his remaining stack. Not too much, like $120 or so. Of course, I have to call. River card comes is a queen of hearts. My opponent shows that he had ace jack. My loose play gets rewarded with a pot of $400. Sometimes poker is more about the hands you don't lose a lot on than the hands you win. Here I have ace queen offsuit from under the gun, open for 15. I get 2 players call, and then the button puts in a large size raise. The player who had the pocket jacks against me earlier when I raised makes a similar calling motion than that he did the previous time. I think he has a monster. I think the button could have ace king. I think the caller could have something like pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket kings. Not a very good situation for ace queen, so I channel my inner Zeus and fold like a nit. The button player ended up betting very large on the flop and the turn, getting all in, and the small blind ended up calling him all the way down. Never saw the button's hand, but the small blind player did have pocket queens and took down this big pot. Well, I'm under the gun with 2 jacks. Seems like a pretty good hand to raise with, so I make it $15. The player to my direct left puts in the call. He has a stack of about $500. Everybody else ends up folding out, so just the 2 of us are going to see the flop with 34 in. Flop comes out 8-7-4 with two hearts. Not the greatest flop. It definitely hits his calling range more than my raising range. I decided just to check this one to see what happened. I do not have the jack of hearts in my hand, and he bet small for $10. It's a little bit alarming, his small bet sizing here, so I'm going to proceed with caution. Turns a three of diamonds. I check again. This time he sizes up a little bit and makes it 35. Maybe he flopped a straight. I don't know. Two pair perhaps. I'm going to put in the call just because I underrep my hand. River card is horrible. It's a six of hearts. Completes the flush, the straight. I check it. He checks it back. I have some glimmer of hope when I turn over my jacks until he shows me pocket fours for bottom set. My stack has been up and down so much it looks like more like a yo-yo than anything else. Here I have ace king and the big blind. There were a bunch of limpers. I decided to put in a raise to $25. I get called in two spots, and the middle position player is someone who has a lot of knowledge and a very deep stack. So he's the one I'm going to be focusing on. Flop comes out pretty good. Ace 9-7. So I got top pair, top kicker, and the backdoor nut flush draw. I'm going to continue here for $30. He puts in the very quick call. The other player gets out of the way. Turn card comes is a seven of spades. Here I'm going to get a little bit sneaky on him. I'm going to check it over. If he has something like ace jack, ace queen, maybe even something weaker, he might decide to take a stab at it, thinking that I have a pocket pair that might surrender. He bets $60. I'm thinking about raising, but I figure I'm going to probably get more value from just a call. River card comes is a four of spades, complete blank. I thought about leading with maybe making it look like a missed flush, but I decided to check. If he has ace queen, ace jack, I'm pretty sure he's going to go for value here. He decides to check it back after thinking for quite some time, and so I roll over my ace king. He says it was good. He kind of flashed a queen, and then I asked if he had ace queen. He goes, no, I was getting trappy with two queens. I'm under the gun with king jack suited, open for a raise to 15. End up getting a slew of callers. In fact, 4 of them in total. So we're going to end up going 5 ways. Yes, 5 ways to this flop with $75 in the pot. Flop comes out queen 9-8 with 2 clubs. So we got a gutter and a backdoor flush draw. First person checks, I check it, and it ends up getting checked around. That's a good result because there's so many people in here, and that's definitely not my range. But the 5 of hearts gives me some hope. Now I got a gutter and a king high flush draw. First player ends up betting out, and for $45. Decent size. He probably has something as strong as maybe a queen. Maybe he even has something like a straight. But with all my outs, I'm not going anywhere. I put in the call, looking to get some better odds with a overcall, and I end up getting 3 overcalls. So this pot is really growing. I'm looking for a 10. Offsuit 10 would be the best. A heart would be just fine. Let's see if we can hit one. 300 in the center, and we get the ace of clubs. First player now checks. I thought about jamming, representing a flush, but with so many players, I don't think it will get through. So I surrender with my check. It gets checked around. The player on my right turns over pocket 9s. So he flopped a set of 9s. And as we know, king high does not beat 3 9s. And for our final hand today, we had 3 players that limp in. I looked down at ace queen offsuit on the button. Make it $25, trying to thin the field. It doesn't seem to work. I ended up getting 4 callers. We're headed off to a flop with $126 in the pot. Flop comes out. Well, you guessed it. We flop another ace. This time on a flop of ace 6-3 rainbow. Really good flop. Shouldn't have any worries whatsoever unless someone has pocket 6s, pocket 3s, or maybe a 4-5 type of hand. It gets checked all the way around. I'm just going to go ahead and fire at this thing. I put out a bet of $60. It's folded back around to a player who thinks $60 is just the right size to continue. He puts in the call, and the other players end up folding out. Now, the fact that he did call for $60 makes me think he has some sort of hand. Turn card is a deuce of clubs, which brings in the 4-5. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. He checks it over to me, and I think this is a good chance to do some pot control and check it back. River card comes as a 6 of hearts. If he had a 6, he now has 3 of a kind. But if he has an ace, his kicker does not play, even if he had something like ace deuce or ace 3. And it'll be a good chance to squeeze a little more value out of a ace. As I said, I think he has something, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a decent sized bet here of $85. He goes in the tank for a while, but then decides on putting in the fold. I figured he would look me up if he had an ace, so really not sure what he was putting that money in with. But we win the last hand of the night, rack up our chips, and head to the door. What a wild evening it was. We ended up winning $285. Our stack was all over the place, as you have seen. The pocket aces against pocket kings, that was a tough one to take. We were up over $500 at the time. That would have been a nice one to drag in. We did avoid some trouble hands with ace 10 suited and ace queen. We kind of did a little punt there with ace king against the pocket jacks. And we sucked out on a couple of hands where someone flopped a set and we made our flush. Overall, just your average day of poker here at Capital Casino. Anyway, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate your support. And until next time, good luck at the tables.